introduced who we are, but I feel like we should explain how we got to where we are, and that might give like a better intro to who we are. So, are you happy for me to go first?
Yeah,
and
sure.
explain? So, okay, so, by the way, feel free to interject, by the way, and we know that you're here, so if you have any interactions or questions, we're open for that as well. So, just to give context, I'm the founder of Black Create Connect and also Create Connect, which is an employer branding agency. How I got there is I have a background in recruitment, so I've actually worked agency side and I've also worked client side and in-house. So for context, anyone here an agency recruiter, put your hands up. Nope. Okay, just one. But Natalia, do you know how agency recruitment works?
Yeah, because funny enough, I come from a marketing background.
Okay.
So before starting my own business, I'm the founder of an organisation called Women in Digital Business. I worked agency side and then client side, but in marketing and advertising. So although you was in recruitment, totally get it.
Right, so you know the difference between working with clients and then working in-house
agency
with one.
pretty got no life.
Yeah. No, literally, because you're working for money. Yeah. But I remember, I don't know if you've ever been hired by a recruiter before, if you have or haven't.
A very long time ago.
A long time ago, right? So basically, I remember there was one time, so I used to just hire for various companies, digital marketing roles. I'd done contract and perm, so the money was fantastic, right? Money was good. And then there was one particular client, every month or so, I'm rehiring the same role. I'm like, why do people keep leaving your company? And he was a founder, and he had like a company of maybe 20, 30 people. And imagine, I went in, I said to him, I need to come and speak to your employees without you there because I can't keep hiring for you.
Well, you know what Jeff Bezos says, if you want to know what your staff think, leave the room.
No, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So I remember I had conversations with them and they were all like, he's awful and the culture's really tense and we don't feel really included here. And in particular, I was looking at the women and also people of colour that felt almost scared to tell me what was going on. And that was like kind of like a wake up call for me where I thought I need to represent a company that I can trust because I can't be hiring for all of these different companies and effectively I can't verify their experiences. So just to kind of cut a long story short, the transition from client side to the agency side to client side for recruitment is really hard because it's different. So I had to go consultancy side. Do you know what consultancy side is?
Yep, I actually do that now.
Perfect. Cool. So like where you do projects at a time?
Yeah, I do. And I think for me, I moved over into consultancy, and the reason why I came out of employment to start my own business, if I was to be honest with you, I just wanted to be my authentic self. I think for me, I started out in this game in 2003. It was MySpace. There was no Facebook. I'm in the digital world now. Like, you had a modem that was like... there was no social media, so I've been in the digital game for a while. And after graduating, I actually only lasted in the corporate world for about 5 years. And the reasons why I started my own community is that I just felt I wanted to be my own person. My first business was actually a bookstore. I thought I was going to be the next Amazon multicultural bookstore. Yep, because I didn't understand who I was. Yeah. I generally didn't. I grew up in an area, went into a school where I was predominantly with other cultures. I was always the minority. And then the way that I was described was always as this ethnic minority. And then one day I thought, but if we look at the world, we look at how big the continent of Africa is, the West Indies, you've got Americans, and I'm hearing about these African Americans over here. I'm thinking, how comes in my space I'm a minority? It makes you feel small. So I didn't find my voice to a much later stage in life, if you want me to be honest with you. And the reason why I can consult now is because actually I'm in a place for the first time where I understand the end user, where a lot of the corporations that I work for don't. So I think diversity's gotten to a point where I think everybody's having to wake up, because whether your end user is the people within an organisation or it's the people and the consumers that are buying from you, how can you have a marketing department or a HR department that's got no representation of the very people that you're trying to attract? And I think sometimes as well, thank you, we need to remember that commercially as well. Fashion brands are doing so well at the moment, not because they're Kim Kardashian, but simply because they understand who their end user is. Like, how can high fashion brands all have board directors? There is no all white and over 55-year-old men selling women's accessories, clothes and items. So it's not even just a black thing. So yeah, with the consultancy, it's been my success really.
Yeah.
Because of how the world's changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, just to even touch on your point, because I want to follow on from what you've just said in regards to representation. So one of the key reasons, actually, just jumping ahead in my career as to why I started Black Create Connect in the first place, was for that reason, where I was working in advertising, in creative advertising agencies, and they're not representative. And a lot of the ads, I'm sure you've seen the recent on Pines, right? We've seen...
Sorry.
We've seen mistakes made with Dove. We've seen mistakes made of a lot of different brands because they didn't have the right people in the room, or the right people were in the room, but they didn't feel comfortable enough to use their voice. Yeah. One of the two, which is problematic, right? So I thought to myself, just to give you context, I started Black Create Connect in 2020 when everyone was excited about black people and really wanted to hear our voices. Let's be real, right? The year before, I moved to the consultancy, and I worked for Spotify doing hiring, but my consultancy gave me the worst experience of my life. I had never experienced racism like I've experienced it there. Black people were not allowed to sit together. That was like a rule. I don't know if you've experienced it. It was a rule. Like, the CEO will come up to us and say, you guys can't sit together. Like, yes. But if you challenged it, you were the problem. Right?
Yeah.
And that was a continuous thing. So when I went through that and it had a big toll, the year after, when everyone started to come out about their stories, I thought, I wasn't a problematic. Because I was a rebel growing up, I thought it was me. I thought, okay, I'm the problem. I don't know if you've had that before, like Natalia, in workplace.
Strangely enough, so I didn't find my voice until I was older. So I was the person that would immolate. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I don't feel like I had my own thoughts and opinions, if you want me to be honest with you, until, if I was to keep it real, till I got to my late 20s and 30s. When I think about it, I left school, I went into the corporate world. Yes, I started my own organisation, but then even when I got into mentoring and coaching, like today I've heard a lot about mentorship. It's hard to be mentored by someone that just doesn't understand you. I'm so sorry. That doesn't understand the issues I might have with my hair. That doesn't understand the issues that when I get really passionate, I'm not an angry black woman. So for me, I dumbed down a lot. I dimmed my shine just to be able to blend in. And then even when I've been coaching, I'm starting my own business, I'm trying to communicate and find my audience with strategies that are given to me by somebody that doesn't understand my audience, because my audience was other black women. So my community is just for black women. And I've struggled with that in the UK. In places like America and Canada, their culture is based on segregation. So everybody, they're the opposite to Spotify. Puerto Ricans will be over there, the blacks will be over there, even the African Americans saying, hey, we don't know where we come from. Everybody's segregated. Yeah. So, you've got your Howard University, whereas here it's not. Everybody's actually put in the room together and said, it's over. We don't need to talk about those times. And I think for me, that's where my confidence picked up and said, hang on a minute, 4,000 years of slavery doesn't go into non-existence. It's impossible. So I think for me, that's where I started to find my voice and really, really speak up. So I was definitely, I don't know who else is like that in the room, I was definitely that person that would immolate. Hair, clothing, speech, got to do it this way, going to university. So I lost myself for a bit.
Do you know what's interesting? I've noticed that, especially, I don't know, I'm a less experienced black woman, and I've found that there's, in my experiences, this is keeping it 100%, more experienced black women are not as supportive as I would like, right? And I've had real conversations about it with them. And it is because some of the time they think, right, you're bright. Like, how can you have so much of a voice? I went through X, Y, Z. I've been told this. And it's almost the same way we look at Gen Z, because Gen Z is also very, very, very bright. For those that don't know what bright means, that just bright means that you have a mouth, you have a voice, that you say what you think, right? So I remember, actually, in that experience that I had, the head of HR was a black woman, right? She was an experienced black woman, and she sat down and watched me go through a lot of the things. When I left, she messaged me on WhatsApp saying, I'm so proud of you. I wish I had your voice. And then that's when I realised, because I was angry when I left because my friends were there and they stayed there. But then I had to sit with myself and say, Alicia, not everyone is the same character. And I have been brought up, I'm the eldest out of 4 girls. I've been brought up in the church. From 9 years old, I was told to go up and read the scripture reading and to do presentations. My dad used to instill a lot of confidence into me, right? So I've been brought up like that.
Yeah.
Not everyone's had that upbringing. So I had to really appreciate that. And I think when I got into that workplace, I thought, who the hell are you talking to? I was like, my dad treats me like a princess. Like what? Like what? I was shocked because I haven't experienced this before. And also, my parents have always worked for themselves. So again, I'm like, who are you?
See, you are very, very, very blessed. You see, in my community, no, you are. In my community in women digital business, it is specifically for black women, but it is also for black women that have got that voice, because we've all got it in the pit of our stomach, but they can't quite get the words up. So our community is a place where they just get to be themselves, embrace, and that confidence can come out and they can grow in business. I've definitely been entrepreneurial. From the age of 14, I remember telling my careers advisor, I'm going to be the first black president in Jamaica.
Period.
And she laughed. No, she laughed. There was tears coming down her eyes. Now you think, is it me? And she said, you know, maybe you should think about being a social worker, and even then you're setting your heights quite high. You know, when I was younger, I used to watch Dynasty, Dallas. Like I wanted that lifestyle. So I can honestly say that I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Didn't quite find my voice, but it's interesting. I don't come from an entrepreneurial family or background. So actually, there's a lot of things that I feel like I could have just been shown or told. Instead, I've been charged. I've had to give something back in return. And this is where I've noticed that not everybody is genuine, if you want me to be honest with you. To my community I've created, I think there's a big difference between having an audience and having a community. My community is about sisterhood. I want to rise you up. I want to show you that you can do it all. I want to make sure you don't make all the mistakes I made. So what I don't like about your HR manager is the fact that she sent you a text. That's what I don't like about her.
But
she forgot allyship.
But to flip it a little bit though, when she moved companies, she gave me checks though. She did give me checks because
I'll forgive her then.
Yeah, she paid me to come in to do talks and stuff because I think she felt really guilty, and a lot of people that were there. Let me tell you something, yeah. I'm sorry to be a little bit religious, but who God bless, no man can curse. So whenever I feel like, and what that means, again, this is what my dad always used to tell me, when something bad happens to you, but if you're a good person, right, you have to believe that goodness will come back to you regardless. So even people that have treated me really badly, they've turned around and they don't do that anymore. So in those workplaces.
I mean, we all make mistakes, and on the spot she could be put under pressure. So the fact that she's done that afterwards speaks volumes to me. But in general, when it comes to diversity, I'm a big believer in allyship. I don't like bullies.
100.
And I think for me, where I used to be shy when I was younger and didn't quite have that voice, now that I've got that voice, I'm not playing. Don't talk to her like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But the thing is, like what you said, right? A lot of people say that when they join Black Create Connect, so for context, I started as a WhatsApp group. And it was just me, again, sharing advice, sharing jobs, just sharing experiences and just being there. And everyone always says it's like a family. I remember the first time we was coming out of lockdown and they were like, we want to have a link up. I said, yeah, come to my parents' house. Like, it's fine. No, and my parents were down for it because we're such a family-based, open door type of family. So we was like, yeah, come. So I was like, okay, Dad, what I'm going to do is do a Google form and let people fill out the Google form, yeah? And when he saw like 300 people on the list, he said to me, Alicia, I think this one is for the bar or get a company or whatever. I said, okay, cool, no problem. But since then, what I've seen is that the amount, I remember when I was doing DEI partnerships at agencies and I was looking after like external partners and we paid them 25k, 30k for the year to put a job ad up, but I was hiring way more for my community, which was smaller. Because they trusted me, they trusted my words, they trusted people that were in the group, we had relationships and we built upon that. And that was where, and I mean, a testament to that is Depop was the last company that made me redundant. And I remember I hired so many people from Black Create Connect into Depop. And when they made me redundant after 4 months, they then became our client and they're my client still to today. Yeah, because so that is like that for me, that shows how much they valued and saw the power of connecting with communities.
And I think for me, ownership's really important, guys. As much as we're speaking about diversity and it's a hot topic, and especially, obviously, we're here, a lot of you are HR professionals, you've got loads of different people and groups to think about, and it's about equality and it's about diversity. But for me, for Black History Month, it's about ownership. I feel like in the Black community, there isn't enough ownership. It's one of the reasons why I definitely run my own community. not to get controversial, I don't know how many of you even saw the programme called Paid in Full with the music industry. And to think that we're in 2024 and actually we don't have a seat at all in that table. It appears to be that way, but it's controlled by conglomerates. So I think my thing for Black History Month is just to remember not only how far have we come, but I also feel like we need to remember, why would there be one group of people that you would focus on so much, to take away so much and give little pieces back over thousands of years. So for me, for the next generation and for those that are going into organisations, I think empowerment within the Black community is really, really important, and encouraging more and more people to go for ownership so change can come from down the top and filter down. And it's not just a Black community thing. There's loads of other communities. I think we're all working towards equality, and I deeply believe in equality. But sometimes I love events like this, Core Recruitment. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because I do feel like when we talk about Black History Month, I do sometimes get an energy, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the room, that's kind of like, oh, this subject's a bit boring, it's a bit taboo. Are we still going to be talking about Martin Luther King? Oh, gosh, you know. Yeah, we know the civil rights movement, we've done well, but it's been a long time and the change is so slow dripping. It's time to ramp it up, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. And I don't know how much more time we have, but just again, completely agree with the whole empowerment and also working collaboratively. One thing that I've noticed, and I always say this to everyone, right? First and foremost, it's important to build your own house, because if you're getting like doors shut in your face all the time, something was mentioned about there's only, like, we kind of act like, I think it was Sting that mentioned it, we act like there's only one room for us. And unfortunately, we live in a world where they've created it for us to be fighting and to be saying, okay, well, I'm in, so you can't come in, which means we need to build our own houses, and we need to open the door, and we need to build a little back garden, and we need to have more acres of land for everybody else to build. And one of the things that I always say to my community, collaborate, bring people in. If you're not an expert in something, just refer. It's completely fine, because you're better off doing that. It will come back to you than you always being the one and having to do hand-me-outs, because that then puts you out a back burner long term, because you're consistently like pouring out. So just I'm all into the whole collaborative.
Yeah, I love
mindset.
that. And in terms of collaboration as well, one thing that I've seen, I'm 46 years of age, and one thing that I have seen...
you look good though.
Thank
you.
One thing I have to say that I have seen from school that a big shift has changed. There was the Western world had a saying that they would say when they used to conquer the world and how the Commonwealth was created. It was divide and conquer. Yeah. And one of the things that I love that I would like to see more of is whether you are from mixed heritage, whether you are from the West Indies, whether you are from Africa, whether you are mixed in parts of Asia, that we all identify with being Black, because that divide and conquer is actually what makes us weaker. Yes. Yeah, no matter what part of Black you come from, we need to unite more.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. Well,
so collaboration in all areas.
collaboration. And I guess just to almost wrap up, once again, for those that are here, because I see that actually it's majority non-Blacks in the room, which is very refreshing to see. No, I'm being honest. Like, it's really refreshing to see, because it means that you want to hear, you want to learn, you want to understand, and that's the most important thing, to come into spaces that might be a little bit uncomfortable initially sometimes. But one of the key things that I urge you to do, there's a big trend of communities emerging, so many communities emerging. You're better off investing and connecting with those communities, I promise you, in whatever way you can, versus putting a random job up on a Black job board. I'm even saying that even for mine. Don't put a job board up on my job board if you're not going to connect with communities long term. So that's what I would say. And again, I know she said it already, thank you, but to be at the forefront of this type of event, it's really, really remarkable. And I just appreciate being on stage with an experienced, Black woman who has a voice. So
thank you.
I'm honoured, so thank you.
And yourself, very proud of you. I hope my daughter and the women that I know can have a voice like yours that is so prominent, because that's what we need.
Thank
well
you.
done.